Hello everyone, this is FeelGood of FeelGood Gunpla, and today I'll be reviewing the 1/100 Double Zeta Gundam Ver Ka. I bought this kit at USA Gundam Store. Please go there for all your Gunpla needs. Now, before I start this review about this mobile suit, this kit, I think that I think that I should explain the three components that make up this mobile suit. And they are Core Fighter, or in anime is sometimes called the Neo Core Fighter. Basically, this component here makes up the cockpit of Double Zeta Gundam. Basically, if something happens to the Core Fighter, well then you really can't have the Double Zeta Gundam unless you get another cockpit. Basically get another Core Fighter. The Core Fighter really doesn't have a lot of weapons to brag about, really. I think it has a few missiles, a few laser guns, and that's it. Out of the three components, it would be the weaker of the three. However, one of the most important out of the three, because this is where the pilot of the mobile suit will be in. And next we have Core Top. Now, Core Top is one of the more armed. It's one of the armed of the two. Actually, there are two of them that are more heavily armed, or the most heavily armed. The Core Top consists of two parts: the upper body of the Double Zeta Gundam, and also the double beam rifle. But if you were to look at it from the front and from the back, I will show here, it looks like, the only way you can tell is they're open there, but depending on which configuration, sometimes the Core Fighter will go up in there, basically giving the Core Top extra boosters, therefore helping to increase its speed. But it can operate without having a Core Fighter in it, because you probably already noticed this right here is actually a cockpit. So there's a cockpit, but the thing is, which is a little funny to me, is that the cockpit is inside the beam rifle. So when it transforms to become Double Zeta, when they dock and transform to become Double Zeta, the person that was in Core Top is now inside of a very dangerous beam rifle. And that one's actually quoted from Gundam Wikipedia. Which, now you think about it, it's like, yeah, you're now inside of a gun, you can't go nowhere. So, but, other than that, Core Top can house at the maximum, if the Core Fighter docks into it, a maximum of 2 pilots. But by itself, 1, and it's up here in the beam rifle. Now, Core Top, if I would have to say, I have to grade the 3 components from most armed to less armed, Core Top would be the second most armed, being the Core Fighter being the less armed, because it has the double beam rifles as its main weaponry. So, and the double beam rifle, if you ever saw it in action, it's no joke. It does damage. It really just, for a rifle, it's just unbelievably powerful. It's just ridiculous how powerful it is. And if you look at Core Top looks more like it looks actually like a fighter, a space fighter, or a jet in a way. If you didn't know too much about Double Zeta Gundam, you'll look and think of its own separate mobile armor. Because this part, which are the arms, you can't really tell the arms if you don't know how the Gundam is how it transformed. So I'm a fan. I did research. Plus, I didn't transform the thing, so I know when the head begins, the arm, the gun. But if someone come and look at, look at that jet, they wouldn't know. So basically, this is the core top. To me, it looks a little more convincing as a, looking more like a fighter than it does the upper half of a mobile suit. Now, thanks because of the double beam rifle, it's actually on the front of the body, making it more look like a fighter. As if you didn't add that on there, then it wouldn't look like a fighter too much. But just by looking at it, it looks generally like a space fighter. So, and it is the second most armed component of the 3 parts that make the Double Zeta Gundam. And now it brings us to our last component, which is core base. Now, core base is the lower half of Double Zeta Gundam. It actually, unlike core top, has to have a core fighter attached to it for it to work on its own. For it to work. Without a core fighter attached to it, it really could not work. So it has to have a core fighter attached to it for it to operate independent from the Gundam. Now, to me, and you see, this one looks also like a fighter somewhat. Well, I guess you say it looks like a fighter with a very small cockpit, to be precise. And like I said, it is, but other than just being very small here because of the core fighter, it looks kind of like a fighter in its own right. Not as much as core top, but it looks like a fighter. No, like it basically looks like a fighter in its own right. And if I turn it here, where the feet used to be, they are thrusters. And to me, I would think it'd probably be the fastest one because it has more boosters than core top in the core fighter. Because you got the ones from the backpack, and you got the ones that the feet used to be. So it is the bigger one of the 3, the biggest one. Well, of course, the lower body is bigger. In Double Zeta case, the lower part of the body is bigger in the uppercase. That may be in all things, but anywho, it is bigger. We know for sure it is the biggest one out of the 3. And in my opinion, it's the most armed. Because you got not only the core fighter's arsenal, but plus you got the laser cannons that usually work at the beam sabers here, which are they work at laser cannons here. Now the thing about the laser cannons are it doesn't have to be in G-Fortress mode or just core base mode to work. It actually works in all 3 modes: mobile suit, G-Fortress, and core base. So you can use the laser cannon in either one. But I have yet to see the laser cannons used in mobile suit mode. So if he has used the beam sabers as cannons, laser cannons, in mobile suit mode, please tell me in the comments below or show me a link where I can go see this in action. But to me, it's also, like I said, it's the biggest of the 3, but also it's the most armed of the 3. And some people can argue it's probably it's the faster of the 3. But as of weaponry, like I said before, the core fighter got the core fighter weapons, the laser cannons, and the 21 missile pods. Why does it say 21? Well, there's 21 missiles in each pod here. and it can use those in all three modes: Mobile Suit, G Fortress, and Core Base. So, like I said before, it is the lower half of Double Zeta Gundam. So it's basically the lower half of the Double Zeta Gundam transformed and with a core fighter put on there so it can operate independently. These three components together, these three fighters together, combine and what makes up the Double Zeta Gundam. And now we have the Double Zeta Gundam in G Fortress mode. Here in this mode, it gains basically more speed, and of course slightly more firepower, minus basically the hyper beam cannon. Despite not having the devastating hyper beam cannon, it's pretty formidable transformation. Way better than the Wave Rider, which had good speed but lacked firepower. So Double Zeta was made to basically solve that lack of firepower problem. So in G Fortress mode, he has access to the double beam rifle cannon, double beam rifle, which is right here, which makes up the nose. It also has access to the beam sabers, which now are cannons, plus the missiles in the back. Now, as you can see, you can barely tell where the mobile armor starts and the Gundam begins. Better to me, in my opinion, than the Zeta Gundam, which you can still sorry, I can't talk today. You can still tell by the feet and I think the fist sticking out the back. But here, the arms actually turn into thrusters, eliminating that. Now, it can transform the G Fortress either by separately combining to make G Fortress, or when it's in mobile suit mode, it can transform right into G Fortress mode without having to separate, then form G Fortress. So that's convenient. I always liked it G Fortress. To me, G Fortress was my favorite. One of my favorite mobile armor. You know, because it just looks so cool. So just like you wouldn't want to meet this, and you wouldn't want to meet this in combat. And plus it's Double Zeta's alternate form. So I'm just like, what's more, what other to say in that? And although I have not seen too many of the G Fortress mode in the anime, either that or I hadn't watched enough Double Zeta. But for what it's worth, it gets the job done. So basically, it's just the Double Zeta and G Fortress mode, more speed, a little extra firepower, something you would not want to mess with. And so this is part 3. This is the conclusion of part 3 of the Double Zeta Ver Ka review. I hope everyone has a great day. Later.